This has been a deadly and draining year for Washington law enforcement with the murders of a park ranger and a state trooper.
During these tough times, officers and their families get a lot of support from chaplains. Tonight, King 5's Joe Fryer gives us an inside look at a new chaplain program that helps 2 state agencies, including one you might not expect.
I'm going to be at every hearing, every trial, every court date they have.
What happened before this moment was not a choice.
I want people to know that it's not okay. What happened is absolutely not okay.
If Gina Miller had her way, she would never have to visit the 2nd floor of the Kitsap County Courthouse and would never have to stand before a judge to say this.
Was Tony Radulescu's girlfriend.
Not even a month earlier, her boyfriend, known to everyone as Trooper Tony, was shot and killed during a seemingly routine traffic stop.
A person who was highly thought of in the community.
While the suspect is now dead, the people accused of helping him are not.
I don't feel safe knowing that this person would be out on the streets free.
So Gina is attending every one of their court hearings.
If this suspect is allowed to be free, this is a slap in the face to all our peace officers.
It's the one choice she can make.
Good.
And sitting right next to her, helping her through it all, is Mike Neal,
right.
senior chaplain for the State Patrol.
I cry, I still cry a lot.
Yeah.
Especially at night.
Okay.
In the morning.
He's a comforting presence, even if he's not always
The other thing that happened.
a welcome sight.
When I got up February 23rd and I looked out and I saw him out there with our chief, I knew that something had happened to Tony.
But if anyone was going to deliver that news,
I was glad that he was there because I knew who he was. It wasn't a stranger.
it takes a special person to provide such a steady shoulder in a quivering world, and it's certainly not easy.
You can't watch a young woman who just lost the love of her life go through that in front of you and not be affected.
The State Patrol's chaplain program started just last year.
It takes a very special person.
Trooper Tony's captain and all of his grieving coworkers are grateful for the timing.
And to have somebody that you have trust and faith and confidence in to be able to talk to, that's huge.
The chaplain understands their loss well because in 2006, he lost someone too.
You never get over it, you just get through it.
His daughter, Suzanne, just 27 years old, was killed in a bicycle accident.
That either kills you or else you decide to use it for something greater.
So this grieving father used it to become a chaplain.
This is not a job, it's a calling.
And that calling is not just limited to the State Patrol. He also serves another agency, one that surprises many.
Wildlife 137 Tacoma, clear C, Charles.
Go ahead. Tony Leonetti is an officer for the state's Fish and Wildlife Department.
Wildlife 24.
While the job may not seem dangerous to most, the shell casings and empty beer cans scattered around this remote state land suggest otherwise.
This tree was standing on Wednesday night.
He finds that someone actually knocked down this evergreen by repeatedly shooting it.
These are all handgun rounds. You pull it right out of the tree.
A second targeted tree littered with bullet fragments
Spent ammunition.
will likely fall soon.
Will they stop? I doubt it. We'll just move on to the next tree.
This is just a taste of the dangers these officers deal with, patrolling remote lands.
They're in areas where we're not going to get back up quickly.
Dealing with desperate people.
They're thinking about the warrant that they have for their arrest.
Many of them under the influence.
They're thinking about the drugs they have in possession.
Kids with guns, kids with alcohol, adults with guns, and adults with alcohol.
Most of them armed.
Every person that we come in contact with either has a gun or a knife or some kind of weapon.
Officer Chad McGarry saw those dangers nearly 2 years ago in eastern Washington.
They were down here fishing off this rock.
He was checking for a young man's fishing license.
Next thing I know is I hear a gun cock, and
when he reached for it, the suspect pushed him down part of the embankment, and when he looked up,
he walked up, put the gun to my head about 6 inches away, and said, "Give me your gun right now."
Meanwhile, the suspect's father approached with a knife, but McGarry refused to hand over his gun, instead reaching a compromise.
So I threw my gun on the other side of the fence.
Before long, the younger suspect drove away.
He went northbound on 243.
And McGarry's captain gave chase.
I knew backup was a long ways away.
At one point, the suspect made a U-turn.
Fired 3 shots at me and hit me with with one round.
The bullet hit Captain Chris Anderson's door but missed him.
And I fired 3 times with the rifle at him. And
2 years later, that bullet hole is still there.
every day when I jump in the truck, it reminds me to be careful.
And so are the memories.
I didn't sleep for a couple days thinking, I could have lost my life, lost my family.
In the wake of what happened, both men met with Chaplain Neil.
Helped me work through the emotional issues.
Able to get a lot of stuff off my chest.
I have been there.
He could relate.
I know the need firsthand.
Because he spent 30 years as a fish and wildlife officer.
In 1988, I was assaulted with a .300 Magnum over a license check and suffered post-traumatic stress.
He didn't have a chaplain to talk to.
If you don't talk about it, it just starts to eat you alive.
But now they do.
If he's there in a time of need,
Willing to lend an ear.
So get a lot of stuff off your chest.
Yeah, it was good.
you're going to feel that much better.
And this year, the need has never been greater. First with the murder of U.S. Park Ranger Margaret Anderson at Mount Rainier.
Just a horrible, horrible loss.
And now with the death of Trooper Tony.
I love Chaplain Mike.
Gina Miller didn't want to see Chaplain Mike outside of her window that February morning, but she's thankful to see him now. Joe Fryer, King 5 News.
The Fish and Wildlife Department initially created the Chaplain program in 2008, and then the State Patrol joined last year. Chaplain Mike Neal is now working to find volunteer chaplains in every county. The program is funded entirely through donations. For more information on how you can help, you can go to king5.com.